Food bloggers, hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Eat Blog Talk podcast. This is the place for food bloggers to get information and inspiration to accelerate your blog's growth and ultimately help you to achieve your freedom, whether that's financial, personal, or professional. I'm Megan Porta. I have been a food blogger for 13 years, so I understand how isolating food blogging can be. I'm on a mission to motivate, inspire, and most importantly, let each and every food blogger, including you, know that you are heard and supported. This is a topic that honestly never gets old because I feel like every person that talks about growing on Instagram has a completely different spin. Everyone has a different reason for growing on Instagram, different strategies, different things that work for them. And Sophie Sadler from dirndl Kitchen joins me in this interview to talk about how she grew her Instagram account very quickly because she wanted to publish a cookbook. She has a much different strategy than the previous two people I've talked to about this topic. So I find it really intriguing to hear her perspective and what has worked for her. She published reels on Instagram every single day from September 2023 until the time that we recorded this in May of 2024. So that's a really long time, but it worked for her and she has grown her account by, I think, somewhere around 60K in that time. Sophie also talks about ditching perfection, how a lot of users and followers like the real, they like the raw, they like seeing you when you're not at your finest, when you're actually imperfect. She also talks about not overthinking it. So if you're inspired to post a reel that doesn't have to do exactly with your niche, do it. Post about a variety of topics and see what lands with your people. She also talks about converting to your email list and how important that is, how many subscribers you can get when you have this at the top of your mind, and also tapping into a tool like ManyChat to automate responses. And this can help you really grow your traffic to targeted posts pretty quickly. If you're looking to grow on Instagram, which I feel a lot of you are right now, you are going to really enjoy this episode. It is number 561, sponsored by RankIQ. Eat Blog Talk is thrilled to unveil the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group, an exclusive community made for food bloggers who crave accountability, focus, and connection. We understand that not everyone is ready to dive into the Mini Minds group or the Masterminds program. That is why we've crafted this special offering for bloggers like you who want that extra push toward their aspirations but aren't yet able to make the financial or time commitment. Here's what the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group has in store for you for this low introductory price of $34 a month. This ongoing membership has its own private Slack channel. You will gain access to a dedicated channel facilitated by the community manager at Eat Blog Talk, Taryn Soley, for questions, insights, and collaboration. You will get weekly accountability check-ins so you can stay focused and motivated with those weekly check-ins in Slack to track and achieve your goals confidently. You will have access to productivity focus sessions. Join these optional live Zoom sessions twice a week to boost your productivity by working alongside your peers and tapping into that collective energy. And you will get monthly group Zoom calls replacing the former Clubhouse chats. Join these calls to connect, discuss current topics, share experiences, and celebrate achievements. Those calls will be hosted by me, Megan Porta, and I can't wait to see some of you there. If this sounds intriguing, head over to eatblogtalk.com/focus to sign up today. eatblogtalk.com/focus. Sophie Sadler has been baking and cooking from as early as she can remember, from helping as a child in her Oma's kitchen in Germany to starting her own cupcake catering business and working in a handful of restaurants and bakeries while attending college in the US. 8 years ago, she found her calling with her authentic German food blog, dirndl Kitchen. Sophie has launched 2 online courses this year on German baking and will publish her first German cookbook in 2025. Hello, Sophie. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. How is your day going so far?
Hi, Megan. I'm so happy to be here. It honestly feels a little surreal because I only know you from the other end of the show. But it's going great. I actually got to visit with a friend this morning, which is more or less unusual for me to do during the week, like just on a random weekday. But yeah, other than that, I already baked. I'm like in the process of baking 2 loaves of bread. I already baked some muffins this morning. So I feel more or less
That's awesome.
accomplished.
Yeah, productive day. Wow. Well, thanks for making time for this. We're super excited to hear about how you grew your Instagram so that you can get a book deal, because I know that was a really big goal of yours. Oh, before we get started with that, do you have a fun fact to share with us?
So I do have a twin sister. I'm 6 minutes older. But I think the biggest fun fact about this is that both of us ended up moving away from Germany. I ended up moving to the United States from Germany, and she ended up moving to Latvia. And they're both for love. So yeah, I miss her a lot. She's 5,000 miles away, but I do get to
Oh my
see her. I do get to see her when I go home to Germany in the summer. So I'm very excited to hang out with her again.
Oh, I bet. I bet it's hard being so far away from a twin.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we were never close growing up, but honestly, the older we get, the more you come to your senses and you're like, oh yeah, that person's actually pretty cool. So let me hang out with her more.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that on some level.
Yeah.
Maturity helps with that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And distance, I guess, in our case.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to learn a little bit about your blog because it's got a really unique, awesome niche, which is German recipes, correct? And it's dirndl kitchen. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your blog? And then also, very curious what dirndl is.
Yeah, so I started my blog in 2015. For the longest time, didn't even know what a blog was. So literally, I was just like writing a diary about my experiences growing up, cooking German food in my grandma's kitchen, because she's really the one person in our family that cooks authentic German food on a daily basis. And we just spent afternoons at her house, and we would bake and cook together. And those were such memorable experiences because she was really like another mother to us, me and my sister. And she did pass away shortly after I started my blog. And so to me, that was even more of like an encouragement to keep her cooking alive. So for the longest time, actually, my mission was more or less like kind of to honor her. But I guess the more I'm like digging into blogging and finding my own path in this whole way, the more I'm like, okay, this is actually, and I've actually gotten messages from my grandma about this too. It's like, try not to just do this for me, like do this like because you want to do it in your own way, and like try to have that voice be heard too, because it's so hard for me. It's sad because now I'm 8 years into it, and she's passed away 8 years ago, and some of those like distinct conversations that we had are fading, and those memories, and I'm like, oh gosh, what am I gonna do? And now that I'm removing all of those personal stories from my website just to make Google gods happy, actually the book came in at a perfect time, because I was like, I can put some of those stories in my book, so I can have those stories live on in a printed format instead, and Google won't be mad at me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important, especially with that connection that you had with her. That's really great.
And so the name, dirndl is a traditional Bavarian dress commonly worn at Volksfest type festivals, which are basically giant fairs in Germany. And Oktoberfest just happens to be the largest fair in Germany. And there's obviously millions of people that travel there and have a great time drinking for 2 weeks straight. But I've actually personally never been to the Oktoberfest in Munich, but we do have Volksfeste all around Germany, and people sometimes do like to dress up for those in dirndl and lederhosen, regardless of whether they come from Bavaria. And when I thought about, okay, what do Americans, because I live in Kansas City, and so I was like, what do Americans think of when they think of German people? And traditionally, and ironically, typically in those traditional types of clothes, which are dirndl and lederhosen, the leather kind of overalls that men like to wear. And so the dirndl dress is a beautiful Bavarian traditional dress, and I'm not trying to like make fun of any kinds of Bavarians. I just thought, this would be simple for people to remember, but I am running into issues with people not knowing how to spell it, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly short word, so you can spell that pretty easily. But yeah, it is like unique. I mean, it's obviously, when I looked at it, I was like, that's not an English word, but it's a good conversation starter. People, I'm sure, ask you about it all the time.
Yeah, and honestly, with Oktoberfest being on the rise all across the United States, I don't know if you guys have one close to you.
Yeah.
but people are becoming more familiar with it. So I'm hoping that will be my saving grace.
There you go. Yes, I love that. All right. Well, great to learn about your grandmother and your blog a little bit. And I know that you really have had this goal of publishing a book, right? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I guess when I think about like my whole career, which I did not know for the longest time, what I really wanted to do, the blog kind of started as a side project, not knowing at all that it was going to be a way for me to be able to even make any money with it until I came across some other bloggers and, started learning that there is money to be made in blogging. And yeah, for some reason, that was just like such a mind-blowing thing for me to learn. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I can maybe do this as an actual job. Like, I don't have to just do this on the side. Because honestly, like in the kinds of careers that I was in, I never really felt like truly passionate about, I don't know, living out somebody else's dream, I guess. I wanted to live out my own dream in a way. And I saw blogging as like kind of a hobby at first, but the more I did it, the more I was like, oh, this is just such a natural thing for me to do. I was able to publish like one new blog post every single week for years. They weren't in any kind of fancy recipe cards and they weren't Google optimized blog posts, but
Yeah.
they were there.
Right.
And I was like, if I can do that consistently, there must be something there that maybe I could turn this into something else. And so eventually once I started learning about SEO, which wasn't until around 3 years ago, it's funny because I was like just writing a diary for 5 years. And then I was like waking up and I was like, oh yeah, there's this thing and you're supposed to actually do it a certain way so people can find you. And it's suddenly like things clicked. I hired Arson to help me with my SEO coaching stuff. And I hired NerdPress because the tech perspective of blogging totally freaks me out. And I was like, you guys just take that part over. And I felt like I was more able to focus on the creative side. But the more that I dug into keyword research and all those things, the more I felt like, oh, that's really kind of stripping some of my creative freedom because I have to write in a certain way in order for people to find me on Google. And then I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Because I love these stories and people actually that, I connect with on Instagram, they love those personal stories. Where am I going to put these? So I literally have like all of my personal stories from my blog posts. I like copy them and paste them in a document on my phone or on my laptop. I mean, it's like the notes, in MacBook.
Yeah.
And I can just refer back to those. And I was like, oh my gosh, this will be a perfect place for a book. Just to have those stories, kind of have like just a way to live on without being judged by Google or anyone else. And it is truly those little snippets of my life growing up in Germany that people connect with the most. And that are, people are like, oh, thank you so much for bringing me back to my own grandma's house because I had totally forgotten about this recipe. And you describing how you sat at her kitchen table, making this food together, like really brought me back. And it almost brings me to tears sometimes that I get to do this and I actually get to, make some money with it. But it's really fulfilling.
Oh, it is a dream come true, right?
Yeah.
When we sit and think about it, it's like, this is really cool that we can make money doing this.
And honestly, I mean, I just qualified for an ad network last year, so I haven't been making like consistent, I want to call it passive income, but it's not because you have to keep everything updated anyway. So, but like just like consistent blog income. But yeah, thank you, Arson, again for helping me, connect with a way to turn this into some kind of income. But
absolutely.
Yeah, it's been so fun. So
good. I'm glad. I love hearing about your journey. So you took your story. I love also that you took your stories from your blog posts and put them somewhere off your blog because those were really precious to you, and then decided to put them into a book. So your book is in the works, right? It's being published. I mean, it has like a date.
Yes. Supposedly next year in August, just in time to catch Oktoberfest season for next year, because that starts in September. So yeah, I think that's the date. I guess I would have to confirm with my publisher, but yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I actually started talking to my publisher a while back. It was about 1.5 years ago. And I kind of went a non-traditional route because I never sought out an agent. And instead, my publisher contacted me. And for some reason, like I actually had signed a book deal a few years prior that totally did not feel aligned with where I wanted the book to be. And I ended up canceling the contract. And I was like, this just wasn't right. I guess the right opportunity will come along, but I don't know if I have it in me to write a proposal without knowing that there's a deal. Because to me, it felt like such an overwhelming project, even to just write a proposal for an agent to then find a publisher for me. So I kind of just set it aside. I focused on my blog and SEO stuff. And then this publisher came along, and what they described and the kind of book that they were wanting to publish with me was everything that I wanted. But I was, at the time when they first contacted me, I was so stressed out with SEO. I had these huge goals of making it. I was also very pregnant.
Yeah.
And with my third baby, so I have 3 little kids at home. And I was like, I want to make all these things happen. I just don't know. I think something in me that was a fear or a doubt leading thought kept me from going through with it. And at the same time, they kind of just started ghosting me. And I was like, maybe this wasn't meant to be. Then I kind of still, I kept following up with them about every 2 or 3 months, and I heard nothing back ever. And then one month, it was last year in August or so, they finally sent me an email back, acted like they had never lost conversation with me.
Oh, weird.
It was so interesting. And I was like, oh, there you are. I'm so happy you answered. That's my thoughts. Of course, I just emailed back very professionally. I was like, this is great. Let's have a conversation again. And we just got on another call together. But one of the things that they wanted me to prove is that I had an audience to market the book to. And I got very stressed out, to be honest, because I had I basically started Instagram the same day that I published my first blog post in 2015, but I never really saw much growth on it at all. I grew 15,000 followers over a period of 8 years. And I wasn't posting consistently, but to me, it was just how much time do I want to put into this thing? Because I know I don't really see it paying off. I have 3 little kids that I know, would love my time over Instagram. And I just really don't know if this is the right path. But when they came to me and they're like, okay, we need you to prove that you have an audience. And magically, around the same time, Meta, so Facebook, had me schedule a call with them. I don't know if you've gone through on any of those calls before.
Mm-mm.
So it was just a pop-up on my phone. I was like, Meta wants to talk to you.
Oh, weird.
And I was like, okay, let me see what they have to say. And I scheduled a call. And it was so interesting because they don't really give you a time when they're going to call back. They just randomly send you a text message one day and they're like, be available to jump on a call in the next hour or so.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I literally saved that person, whoever texted me, had a name in the text message, and I literally saved the number in my phone with that first name. And I answered she called, and I was like, I answered the phone, and I was like, hi, Allison. I think that was her. She was like, oh, you're really good.
Hi.
But then she's like, okay, let's talk about your Reels strategy. And I was like, what do you mean a Reels strategy? I don't have a strategy. Please tell me what my Reels strategy needs to be. And I had nothing. I had nothing. And I think that day was September 6th of 2023. So last year in September. And she was like, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to post ideally every day. Your reels need to be under 30 seconds long. Use trending audio if you want to, but you don't have to. Try to have something to catch people's attention in the first 3 seconds. And there's all these random tips. And I was like, okay, maybe I should do this because the publisher says I should do it. So something in me was just I'm just going to give this a go for 30 days. I'm going to post every single day. And so I started this Reels challenge, and it was actually really interesting because I started posting about that I was going to do this Reels challenge. And I think there's about 20 or 30 people that also got infatuated with the idea and started doing it with me. Because I was like, okay, if I tell other people that I'm doing it, they're going to hold me accountable, right? Or at least I thought they would. Or, it was just something in my head. If I just blast this out to my 15,000 followers at that time, then maybe I will actually do it. So,
Yeah.
so I just started posting every single day. So September 7th of 2023 was the first day that I posted a reel consistently. I'd done it before off and on, but I never like really had a rhyme or reason or a strategy of any kind behind it. And it really started paying off. I mean, in the first month, I grew around 5,000 followers, and I thought that I was ecstatic because before it had taken me around 5 years to grow
Oh,
5,000
wow.
followers.
That's great. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe this is a fluke, maybe not. So I just kept going. I just kept going and going. And now I'm like 8 months in of posting every single day. And I am at 66,000 followers. And I was at around 15,000 when I started this.
Oh my gosh. So, that's amazing. Well, congratulations. That's got to feel so good.
I mean, it's so interesting because like it feels good because I'm like, okay, maybe this means something. Maybe people will see my stuff. Maybe this will help me with book sales.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if it's not really super satisfying to me in the moment because I feel like I'm just kind of like in the busy work right now. I'm just like posting every day and I'm like trying to do my book stuff and trying to still keep the blog updated. And it feels good that something finally is working for sure. Yeah. But like I haven't really focused on like, okay, now that I have this audience, let me get some paid partnerships. I haven't even had time to like do outreach or anything to like kind of monetize some of that. I also don't know if that is really where I want to invest my time right now because I feel like I need to focus on my book. But yeah, it feels good that finally I feel like I'm putting effort into Instagram and finally something is actually showing.
Oh, yes, that's amazing. That is such a good feeling. So you're posting every day. How much time are you spending daily on your reels?
So it's super interesting because the reels I spend the most time on typically don't do the best. It's like, it's actually funny. About 2 months ago, I posted a reel and I literally wasn't even almost going to record it because my husband wasn't into it. So sometimes I'd like to bring him into some of my reels because I post about when you post every day, you kind of have to get creative with what you're posting because I feel like if I posted a recipe every day, I would like get super burnt out on just having to be in the kitchen all the time. And so I post about like German language, motherhood, parenthood, differences between Germany and America, the au pair program. I've posted about struggling with eating disorders in the past, which is actually really close to me because I feel like I'm so free now of that, but I do see lots of people struggling with that still. And I actually have some online courses as well that 10% of the like what I'm making in sales with the courses actually goes to an organization that helps people with online group therapy for those with eating disorders, which is something I wish I would have had available to me as a resource because I was waiting for about a year to get a spot in a clinic to get some kind of professional treatment. But I post a lot about a lot of different things and people seem to connect, on all sorts of different areas because I think when you kind of like people just get curious. They're like, okay, who is this person? Yes, it's German food, but what does she do? What does she eat? What does she wear? Where does she travel? Like, it's just like people get like hyper curious about other people. And it's very interesting because sometimes I'm like, am I overstepping? Is this still okay to post? Like, I don't know. Is this like something? But I have thought overall, and this has been my experience, that because I post every single day, I don't tend to overthink as much anymore. And when I do have a post that doesn't do as well, it's just another day. It's like, I'm going to post a new video tomorrow or I'm trying out carousels as well because my most recent call, Meta told me that I should not post a reel every day anymore. And that really actually threw me off because I was like, I had been posting a reel every day. It's been working fantastically for me. Yeah. So how dare they change my strategy?
So what was their alternative?
They're like, well, maybe you should back off on posting reels every day. You should maybe just post them like 5 days a week and then do carousels the other 2 days. And I'm just like, carousels actually to me are more exhausting by now because I'm just set in such a mode with like posting short videos. And when I post a carousel, I'm like, okay, each photo is a separate story. Now I'm going to have to write this like 10-page long caption to describe every photo in a carousel.
Oh, right.
At least that's been my hang up. So I haven't really been able to capitalize on the carousels. I don't know. Maybe they work for other people, but for me, because I think I'm in the mindset of reels, like
Right.
it's really hard for me to get out of it. But yeah, at the same time, it's like I felt like once I did 30 days, I almost like had this habit established, which then helped me to not overthink posts as much, because then I was just like, oh, I am, standing in my kitchen making a coffee. I can just record myself doing that, and I can overlay it with some kind of text that speaks to people that maybe have gone through something like me in the past. And I don't have to like do any kind of creative visual, but maybe the text on the video speaks to people directly, and you start seeing people doing certain things. And instead of being like, oh, how can they do that? I can't do that. I start thinking, oh, if they've been able to make this work for them, I can do that too. It's it's been very motivational in a way, because you're starting to see the payoff, and you're starting to see other people that do something that works for them. If you do your spin on that, could work for you too.
Sure.
So like all the time now when I scroll through Instagram, which doesn't happen a lot, honestly, like the more I'm on it, the less I want to be on it. But when I am on it, I'm trying to be intentional and seek out inspirational content, like something that gives me an idea for what to post. Either that, or I'm like on there and I'm trying to like support other creators because I know how hard it is. So I like leave them a comment on their recipe post or something, just because I'm like, you need to be seen too.
Yes, right. Validating them as well. Yeah, I totally get that too. So Meta keeps calling you? Like you still have consistent contact with them? I'm so shocked by this. I've never heard anyone say this before.
So I don't have like a hotline or anything. And I've actually tried to text. I tried to text the
Did
people
you?
back, and it's like, it just doesn't, like they just delete. I feel like they have this like throwaway phone or something. No, I don't know.
That's funny.
In my mind, they have this like pay phone that they just like do one call on and then they throw it away.
Right.
Because can't get in contact with them after that.
We'll talk to you when we want to talk to you, sort of thing, right?
Yes.
Hello there, food bloggers. Are you wanting to tap into additional revenue and improve your site experience for your users? If you're saying yes to all of this, then Chicory might be a really great fit for you. Chicory is a leading monetization platform for food bloggers, enabling you to integrate highly relevant, shoppable ads into your recipe content and earn revenue from top CPG brands. Chicory's hyper-contextual ads and shoppable technology will help you improve your site experience and engagement, allowing your readers to go from inspiration to checkout in just a few clicks. Enjoy easy installation and ongoing access to the Chicory team at zero cost to you. Chicory makes it easy to track your earnings, optimize your blog content using recipe insights, and connect with its team. Here is a testimonial from a happy Chicory user. Quote, "Cooking and baking is my passion. Chicory makes it simple and easy for me to share that passion with the Where is My Spoon audience, providing a seamless purchasing journey for my readers and an effective monetization model for my blog." End quote. That is from Adina Beck from Where is My Spoon. Head over to eatblogtalk.com/resources, scroll down to the Chicory logo and click that button that says Learn More About Chicory. Or you can go to chicory.co/food bloggers to learn more and to sign up. Now back to the episode.
It's interesting because they told me after each call, they're like, oh, we'll follow up with an email series giving you some additional tips. And I never got any of those emails. So I don't know if they're actually Meta calling me. I don't know if it's like literally
so weird
in my head. Like, I don't even know if this actually happened.
Oh my gosh.
No,
that's hilarious. I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it is. You're one of the lucky ones. I would see it as just like divine intervention of some sort. Like you wanted this, right? Like you wanted a way to publish your cookbook. And oh my gosh, things unfolded and it worked. So that's really all that matters. You did your experiment, your 30 days, and then you just kept doing it. Do you think you're going to keep going, doing the daily reels or daily content?
It's interesting because, since I started posting carousels, my follower count growth has definitely slowed. And I don't think it's really discouraged me from posting at all, but it's definitely made me think like, wow, like all this time that I spent posting content over the last 8 months, because that's how long I've been going at this. Like, I do have like 3 little kids. One of them just turned 1 year old. And so 8 of those 12 months, I've literally been spending so much time on Instagram, just like trying to figure this out. And I'm just like, just trying to be more intentional about my time that I'm spending. Yeah. But at the same time, I do want to continue growing. And I do have a goal of growing above 100,000 followers by the end of the year. I just had this in my head at the beginning of the year. I was like, I'm going to hit 100,000 at the end of this year. And like last year, you could have asked me around the same time. It's like, no way. Like, okay, I can maybe grow 1,000 followers. But
no, it's amazing what you've accomplished, really. I mean, this is a goal of so many people. Some people have the goal for getting brand work. Some people want to publish cookbooks like you or books of any sort. And then some people just want traffic or community. So I think it's amazing. Give yourself a huge pat on the back for doing this and doing so much more than you imagined you could do. It's really incredible. So now that you have this audience on Instagram, do you believe that this is what you need and what the publisher was looking for as far as just getting your book out there and having it be successful?
Oh yeah, because when I first talked to them again last year, they had told me, hey, you need to prove to us you have an audience. And so I grew my following. I think it was around 20,000 followers. So I had like over doubled my following in about 3 months, and was like, hey, I did some things on Instagram. I grew my following for a little bit. Like, I grew my following some. I've doubled my following. What do you think? Can we do this? Can we have a deal? And so, yeah, I signed a cookbook deal in December of 2023, and felt like definitely it helped that I put this effort into it because I got the deal. But now I'm trying to figure out, okay, I guess I don't love coming across as salesy, which is funny because I've had so many sales positions in the past before I committed to blogging, but I don't like for people to like feel like they're buying stuff from me just because they're buying stuff from me. So I always try to think of like, just connect with them on some kind of emotional level, and like trying to think back to I feel like my ideal target audience are people that are my past self that have gone through a transition from either moving from Germany to here or to somewhere away from Germany, and that maybe have German ancestors they're trying to connect to, because I do feel like, especially during COVID, everybody was doing the ancestry.com and like the who am I kind of like, I have so much time with myself. Let me find out who I am. And a lot of people did find out, oh, I am maybe mostly German. So maybe I need to do some German cooking to connect with my German heritage. And it was really interesting for me to see so many people just like wanting to connect to their German culture from all sorts of backgrounds. But I'm also trying to always think about that person that, just longs to feel closer to Germany because they're not there, and they just want to have some kind of authentic experience at their home. And I do feel that by cooking German food and any kind of food, really, you're getting to have a really close experience of experiencing authentic culture, especially like ethnic foods, by experiencing that wherever you are in the world. And so I'm just like trying to make it as easy for people as possible to have that kind of experience wherever they are. But I'm always trying to think of that person like, okay, they're not used to cooking this kinds of food. Like, what kind of ingredients can I tell them that they can get that maybe are super easy to get and that aren't any kind of special ingredients that will still lead them to have an authentic result, and will still let them to recreate some of those memories maybe that they had when they visited Germany and had this food there. And yeah, just like trying to like really get close to those people. And I do think through Instagram, that's been such a growing, unique way to just to connect with people. And that's something that I don't really get by writing a blog. I mean, I randomly will get some people responding to my email newsletter saying like, oh, this like really made me think of something, but it's not really an ongoing conversation. And I just love the back and forth between people in my community. Like a lot of times, like I post my reels super late at night. I'm so bad at this. I will like be falling asleep and like trying to come up with text to post, because I feel like that's the only time I get to have like quiet and peace in my mind, because that's when it's quiet and peace in my home. And people then like I will be going to sleep, but then I'll wake up and people are already having conversations with each other in my comments. And it's just such a great way because I feel like I don't even a lot of times have to comment back on people's comments because there's other people already doing this for me. Yeah. And I think that's just such a unique way to do that.
Yeah, it is a unique platform in the best way. It's provides something that no other platform provides. And sometimes it's really hard to describe. Like you've done a really good job of describing it. But when I try to do that, it's really hard to articulate how unique Instagram is in so many ways. So I'm so excited for you. I hope that this journey you've been on for the past 9 months has really helped to just set the stage for success with your cookbook and so many other things. I think it will. I hope you feel hopeful for that too. Do you have tips for food bloggers or anyone looking to grow their Instagram account quickly, no matter what the reason?
I mean, my biggest tip would be to post every day.
Yes.
And I wouldn't even say like, because initially they also told me like, try to post around the same time. And I've kind of played with it back and forth. And I'm like, to me, there's not really one ideal time to post. I post late at night because that's just what works for me, because that's when I get to be able to think about things like that. I try to always to like have some kind of folder with ideas, like whether I actually have a few different ways of how I keep track of this. So one is like just in my notes app on my phone, I just keep a running list of Reels ideas whenever they get to me. And then also whenever I see some inspirational content on Instagram and I'm like, oh, I could spin this in a way that it works for me, I will just save it as Reels inspo on Instagram directly. So then I can go back to it and like watch it and be like, because I feel like we always at some point lack motivation or like lack ideas. And I think it's just great to have this like vault of ideas that we can refer back to. So I think that is something that I encourage people to do. And I always think too, like, yes, I sometimes do video with my DSLR and I edit it on there and I edit it on my laptop and then I'll like upload it on there and it looks like super clean and pretty and like more professional. But honestly, the less professional the videos look, typically the better they do. So I've actually I don't even have a phone holder for my iPhone anymore. I literally just set it on my counter against whatever, like a flower box or whatever I can find and record something because, I used to have phone holders, but they all broke. I don't know. I have not been able to find a single one that's not broken or that doesn't break. And so like those types of videos tend to do better for me of like making recipes or just recording something about what I'm doing and finding a way to connect it back to my audience, always thinking back to that person. That is my ideal person that I have in the back of my head. And it's funny because my person has a name and she's actually real, but she does inspire me. Her name is Jenny. And she inspires me for all the content that I create because she's like really, I don't know, she's so truly in the community and so active. And I'm like, every time I think about something that I'm doing, it's like, would Jenny like this? Like, is this something that Jenny would do or Jenny would love? So I always try to think about Jenny whenever I create content. Let's see, what else do I have? Connect with people. Like that's a big one. Describe any struggles that I have. Try to problem solve for people. So any kind of problems that I've solved for myself, I try to like just get people, like whether it's like something like a unique way of preparing some kind of food where I'm like, oh, I didn't know that you, in order to clean leeks, you actually have them and you have water running through the layers before you cut them up. I don't know, for the longest time, like that was not something that was on my radar. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to like share this tip. Because I know too many people that have never cooked with leeks, and I love leeks.
Yeah, leeks are amazing. Yum.
I actually just picked up some leek seeds, so we'll see how it goes, if I can make them grow in my garden or not.
I like your idea of just like maybe even jotting down as you're cooking the little problems that you come across so that you can just highlight those in your reels or in your content. Because if you're having the problem, likely other people are as well. So I think that's a really like super easy way to just nail some pain points from people.
Also like content that's inspiring, encouraging. I feel like people always like to be uplifted in some way. It's interesting because people feel like Instagram is like just, it's not authentic because people only post their highlights. They don't like go in deep on the struggles, but like to me it's like whenever I am on Instagram, I don't want to see people struggling. I want to see inspirational content. I don't know how other people feel. Like, I don't know what other people feel like when they're, seeing other people, but I'm not trying to like, only highlight what is going super great in my life, but I'm trying to have always some kind of thing that people can take back and be like, oh, this was like, really inspirational or like really helpful or just like helped me have a better outlook on my week or, something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good.
It's
I like the thought of just rotating between like educational, inspiring, encouraging, helpful, like that sort of thing. So you're kind of hitting all the bases, but I appreciate that you try to keep it positive because I'm with you. It's kind of fun to see like bloopers in the kitchen and, like the messes that people have, like that is intriguing, but I don't like to hear if people are having like terrible, crappy days. Like that is not my thing either.
Yeah. No, I struggle enough with like some of my own stuff when I, go on a platform. And I know there's been this like trend going around of like, here's what I actually struggle with. And I don't know, I just couldn't get myself to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, it was like a little too real. And I was like, I don't really need people to know everything about like all the things of my life.
Sure. You can be real without being totally raw, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're not my therapist. Like, I don't know what kind of feedback they could give me.
Right. Exactly. What's the point here? Do you use your email list? Like, do you talk about people signing up for your email list and then offering them other content through Instagram?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ways for me to grow my email now is by using ManyChat, but I do feel like Instagram is kind of slowly seeing that many like chat automations like ManyChat are bringing people off the platform. And I don't know, this like last 2 or 3 weeks has been kind of like weird with Instagram. I don't know what's going on. I can't put my finger on it. I feel like you can never put your finger on it, but I don't know. There's something about the automations that I think Instagram is just like now catching on to, because a lot of times I would be like, cooking a recipe and then I'd have people say some kind of keyword in order to get the recipe and like the recipe link to my blog post with a recipe in it in a direct message. And I don't know. I don't think it's working as well as it was about a month ago.
Okay.
But I also use that same automation, so ManyChat, I create some kind of resourceful PDF downloadable guide, and then I'll upload it to my email provider, which I use Flowdesk. And I then will have people comment something in order to get the guide, which then automatically puts them into my email list. And there have been some posts where I was able to grow like 500 email subscribers in with one post.
Oh, wow.
Which is
That's amazing.
And I was like, I don't even know how much that would cost in order to like pay for 500 people that actually want to know from you and know about you and what you do. So yeah, it really depends. And, like randomly I have reels that go viral, which then kind of carry me for a few weeks because they still gain they still have people. I still get people from those reels following me even weeks after. But it's so interesting because the kinds of reels that go viral a lot of times have nothing to do with food.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I don't know. But I still there's one reel I posted that got 23 million views. It got 700,000 interactions, and it did give me 7,000 followers, which may seem low in comparison, and that was about my husband learning German and me celebrating his 2-year anniversary of committing to learning German every single day.
That's so cool.
But it's the most random post.
Yeah. That's just proof that you should be consistent because you never know what's going to take off. So doing it consistently, whether it's daily or something else, will eventually produce results, right?
Well, and also maybe just not overthinking it and always have to think oh, because I am a recipe blogger, I have to post recipes every day.
Right.
But anything related to your life could really be a really resourceful. I feel like if people like your voice of how you present yourself on Instagram, they'll likely also like other things about you, whether that's, I don't know, anything else that you're passionate about. So I don't think it's bad to experiment. When you're posting every day, you can experiment with posting different things about your life, whatever aspects you want to share, without having to feel like, oh, those posts have to perform, because it's just another trial. Like at that stage, it's just like another experiment.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. So much of this is a great reminder to all of us. Would you have anything else as we prepare to say goodbye, Sophie, that you just want to be sure to mention about growing Instagram?
I guess the biggest thing is to try to stay true to yourself. I think it's so easy to look at other people and be like, oh my gosh, like they're doing so great. They are growing so rapidly. They must be doing something that I cannot do. But I think the one thing that I have learned from all of this in the last 8 months is that I look at other people's accounts now and I see them as inspiration and like encouragement, that because they were able to do it, I can do it too. And it also is like super motivating to grow the kind of community, to then get the kind of feedback that I think can be super encouraging to keep you going, because now it's like kind of I mean, it's a super strong habit that I have developed over these 8 months, and it's really become fun. I would say if you'd asked me 8 months ago if Instagram was anything that I'd want to spend my time with, I would have said no way. But now it's like it's actually becoming fun to post, because you have somewhat of an idea of what is going to do well, what is not, and like what, it also is just become less stressful. It's just this thing that I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And whether it's going to work, like one day may not work, and that's okay, because I'm just going to keep doing it and it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't stress me out as much anymore as it was when I was posting maybe twice a week. And it's like, if one of those 2 times didn't go well, it could be like the next 6 days I was like, I hate Instagram.
Yeah.
But now it's like one of those posts doesn't go well, I'm like the next day I'm just doing it again, and it's just part of life.
Yeah, it'll be fruitful for you. I think all of this is definitely going to pay off. So nice work sticking to it. You've inspired us and you've created awesomeness for yourself. Thank you so much for everything today, Sophie. We really appreciate you taking the time for this. I know you've already provided words of inspiration. Do you have a favorite quote that you want to share? I know some people like to wrap up with a quote.
I guess I thought about a quote, but then I was like, what if I just tell people this one German word, which is Fernweh, which means, if you like literally translated it, it means distant ache. But the meaning is a longing for distant places. Mm-hmm. And I love the word because it's kind of like I don't know, it's almost like a travel bug kind of. I don't know how to translate it into English, but
like wanderlust kind of?
I guess in a way, except I think it's kind of like this idea of like the world is there for all of us to explore, and let's just explore. I mean, it could be the world, but it could be anything in life, right? Like, let's just explore all of the different areas in our lives that are interesting us, that are making us who we are, and that really help us connect with ourselves. And whether that's travel or like picking up a new hobby, or just doing whatever it is that makes us better humans.
I love it. Such a great way to end. We'll put together a show notes page for you, Sophie. If you want to go peek at those, you can head to eatblogtalk.com/dirndl kitchen. And why don't you spell dirndl for everyone, and then also tell everyone where they can find you, Sophie?
Yeah, it's dirndl kitchen.com is the blog. And then I am most active, obviously, on Instagram. I have been active on TikTok before. I did get 3.7 million views with my first ever TikTok video, which then really scared me, and I fell off dramatically after that. But I randomly still post on TikTok.
Nice. Yep.
And I'm also working on a membership, which is hosted through Kajabi, which is where I have some online courses. So that is a paid subscription kind that I'm trying to take off of Instagram, which is funny because we were just talking about how great Instagram is. But I feel like building something outside of Instagram, along with email newsletters, is kind of crucial to I guess, staying successful in the long run, because you always have to think about, you don't know what Instagram's going to do. They've been doing something funny over the last few weeks, but yeah, so those are the places.
All right.
And yeah, I'd love to connect with everyone, whether you've traveled to Germany before or not, or just have an interest in German food. But yeah, it's been so fun to be here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for being here, Sophie. And thank you for listening today, food bloggers. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Eat Blog Talk. Don't forget to rate and review Eat Blog Talk on your favorite podcast player. Thank you, and I will see you next time.